Imagine a phoenix rising from the ashes. It's kind of what's happening in Paris right now with Notre Dame Cathedral.
A powerful image.
Right.
Yeah.
Devastating fire back in 2019. I mean, the world watched in just absolute despair as the spire collapsed.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking. Really felt like a collective punch to the gut.
Totally. And then Macron comes out, bold as he please, says he'll rebuild it in 5 years.
5 years.
I mean, come on. Did you believe that was even possible?
Honestly, I was super skeptical. Like, where do you even begin with something like that? But, well, here we are, just a few days away from the grand reopening.
It's mind-blowing.
It really is. Speaks volumes about what you can achieve with just a ton of talent and determination. I mean, laser focus.
For sure. Okay, so we've got a mountain of material on this. Articles, eyewitness accounts, historical records. We're going to take you, our listener, on a deep dive into the resurrection of Notre Dame. And we're not just hitting the surface here. We're going deep. How'd they pull it off? What does it all mean?
We'll be looking at the technical challenges, the artistry, the meaning for France and the world. You know, what makes this so much more than just bricks and mortar?
It's about the human stories too, right?
Absolutely. The heart and soul poured into this project. We'll get to all of that.
Okay, so let's start with the phoenix rising, literally, from those ashes.
Yeah.
I mean, just getting enough timber to rebuild that massive roof, that had to be a logistical nightmare.
2,000 oak trees. Two. That's it. Each one carefully selected, felled, transported. Mind-boggling. And here's something to think about. Those trees were already saplings when Notre Dame was first built back in the 12th century.
Wow. Talk about a connection to the past.
It's like the building itself is being reborn, drawing strength from its own history.
Amazing. But it wasn't just about finding the right wood, was it? Replicating those centuries-old building techniques. I mean, that must have been like stepping back in time.
You're telling me, forget modern tools and materials, they basically had to become medieval craftsmen, relearning ancient skills. Yeah, and all while making sure that this 860-year-old structure could, actually stand the test of time, the pressure.
I read they actually used some pretty cutting-edge tech alongside those ancient methods, something about 3D scanning.
Oh yeah, before the fire, they'd created this incredibly detailed 3D model of the entire cathedral.
So they had like a giant blueprint.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That model became their guide for recreating every detail, every single detail.
Wow. Talk about merging the old and the new. And this weekend, it all culminates in this grand reopening, fit for royalty, celebrities, the whole world's watching. Even, well, Donald Trump is making an appearance, his first overseas trips since winning the election.
It's definitely an interesting twist.
To say the least. Some might say controversial, given, well, everything.
Oh, for sure. But it also shows how globally significant this event is. Notre Dame transcends politics. It's bigger than all of that.
It really is. And then there's Pope Francis, who's skipping the ceremony. The Vatican says he wants Notre Dame to be the sole star. But, I don't know, it makes you wonder if there's more to it. What do you think?
It sparked a lot of speculation, for sure. Some see it as humility, others as a message to the French government. Who knows? Maybe a little bit of both.
I definitely add some intrigue to the whole thing. Okay, let's talk about the ceremony itself. It sounds like it's going to be way more than just a ribbon cutting.
Oh, yeah. Packed with tradition and symbolism. It all starts with Macron's speech, of course. But then, get this. The Archbishop of Paris is going to approach those massive cathedral doors and strike them 3 times with his crozier.
His crozier.
Yeah. It's that, ornate staff bishops carry. A symbol of authority. And after each strike, get this, the cathedral will respond with Psalm 121 sung 3 times by a choir inside.
Chills.
Right.
Yeah, I can already picture it. The doors swing open, revealing the restored interior.
And that's just the beginning. Then the ceremony moves into 3 distinct parts, each with its own symbolism.
Give me the highlights.
Okay, first, you've got the grand organ, the largest in France. Over 8,000 pipes. Imagine that sound filling that vast space, like the cathedral is waking up.
Incredible. What's next?
Then they move into the chanting of the office, a series of psalms and prayers, chanted by the clergy, like an ancient ritual echoing through the cathedral.
Haunting and beautiful, I bet.
And finally, the Archbishop gives a blessing. The choir sings Te Deum, this Latin hymn of praise. It's a moment of, collective catharsis, a celebration of resilience, of faith.
Wow. Powerful stuff.
Yeah.
And then on Sunday, there's the inaugural Mass with all its own rituals and symbolism. What can you tell us about that?
Well, the archbishop blesses the holy water, sprinkles it on the congregation, a symbol of purification and renewal.
I see.
And here's something interesting. The biblical readings are going to be the same ones used for the second Sunday of Advent in churches around the world.
So even though this is happening in Paris, it connects to something bigger, something universal.
Exactly. Notre Dame is rooted in French history, but it holds a special place in the hearts of people worldwide. We're just scratching the surface here, though. There's so much more to explore. The people who made this happen, the deeper meaning of this incredible feat.
And that is exactly where we'll pick up in part 2. We'll be delving deeper into the history, the artistry, and the human spirit that brought Notre Dame back to life.
Back again for more on the Notre Dame resurrection. I don't know about you, but I'm still kind of processing the sheer scale, the symbolism of that reopening ceremony.
It's wild, right? Like, just a few years ago, we were watching those horrible images of the fire, and now, well, there it is, standing tall again.
Testament to human, I don't know, resilience, I guess, ingenuity, maybe even a little bit of stubbornness.
Stubbornness, huh?
Well, think about it. Refusing to let this landmark just disappear, insisting on rebuilding it exactly as it was, when it would have been easier, probably more practical to, modernize. There's a defiance there that I find really interesting.
Defiant spirit. I like that. And that spirit is woven into, like, the very fabric of Notre Dame. It's not just a building, is it? It's a living monument.
Absolutely. French heritage, history, going back centuries.
It's the story of France, basically.
Yeah.
Triumphs and tragedies, revolutions, renewals.
All of it. Construction started back in the 12th century. On the site of an even older church, actually, this grand cathedral, a beacon of faith for Paris and, beyond.
And it became a symbol of power, too, didn't it? Prestige. I mean, kings were crowned there, treaties signed, major historical events all went down within those walls.
Yeah, witnessed it all. Wars, revolutions, plagues, times of, great prosperity, too. Notre Dame was there through it all.
And let's not forget the art, the culture. I mean, the arches, the stained glass, the gargoyles, it's an architectural masterpiece.
Those medieval builders, the skill, the artistry, they had techniques refined over generations. And then you have those rose windows, those massive stained glass masterpieces bathing the interior in all that colored light.
Those always get me. Stunning. It's a miracle they survived the fire.
Each one tells a story, biblical scenes, lives of saints. And each one had to be, meticulously removed, restored, piece by tiny piece.
Like a giant, really fragile jigsaw puzzle.
Exactly. And speaking of intricate details, we can't forget the organ.
Right. The grand organ.
Largest in France. Over 8,000 pipes.
8,000 pipes. Okay. That's a lot. But what does that actually mean for the sound? What makes it so special?
A sound so rich, so powerful, it fills that entire cathedral, sends chills down your spine. It's not just about volume, though. It's the sonic character. A depth, a resonance that's just breathtaking.
Can you imagine hearing it for the first time after the fire? That must have been incredible.
In a powerful moment.
Yeah.
Symbol of the cathedral's voice, being restored. And for the people of Paris, a return to normalcy.
Speaking of the people of Paris, I'm curious about the role it plays in their lives.
Yeah.
It's more than just a tourist attraction, right?
Oh, yeah. For Parisians, it's personal, spiritual. Baptisms, weddings, funerals all happen there, marking the milestones of life. It's a place of, solace, reflection, strength, inspiration.
A spiritual anchor, you could say.
Absolutely. A constant presence. And a gathering place, too. A symbol of, civic pride, unity. Remember, in the Middle Ages, cathedrals weren't just for worship. They were centers of learning, commerce, social life.
So Notre Dame has adapted, evolved over the centuries.
Yeah.
But it's kept its core identity.
And that's what makes it so enduring. Represents something timeless. Something that speaks to, the human spirit across generations, cultures. And now, with the reopening, a new chapter begins.
Okay, so we've talked about the history, the symbolism, the immensity of this whole Notre Dame restoration. But now I want to get into the people, the ones who actually made this miracle happen.
Yeah, that's what's so cool about this story. It's not just, architects and engineers. It's a massive team effort, every skill imaginable.
It's like a symphony of human passion and talent.
Totally. You've got the firefighters who risked their lives to save the structure. The art historians who were in there cataloging, protecting all those priceless treasures.
And then you have all the artisans, carpenters, stonemasons, stained glass experts, people using techniques that are like centuries old to recreate those incredible details. Talk about pressure.
Oh, yeah. Massive pressure. These are skills passed down through generations. It's like a living link to the past, connecting to those original builders. They weren't just restoring a building, they were carrying on this legacy.
I read this article about one of the stained glass artisans. He was talking about like feeling the presence of those medieval masters guiding his hand.
Oh, yeah.
It's like they were channeling the spirits of the past.
I love that. And then you have all the donors, right?
Yeah.
From billionaires to everyday people who just wanted to help. It was this huge global outpouring of support.
People felt connected to it, even if they'd never even been to Paris.
The power of symbols, right? Notre Dame represents something bigger than itself. Hope, resilience, the enduring power of faith, the human spirit.
Those themes are woven through this whole story. It's not
Yeah.
just about bricks and mortar. It's about rebuilding something, I don't know, intangible.
Yeah, if we zoom out a little bit, the reopening of Notre Dame, it signals this return to normalcy, this continuity after so much, uncertainty. It's like saying, hey, we're still here. We're still creating, rebuilding, even after a devastating loss.
Such a powerful message. And it resonates so much, in our current world. We've all faced so many challenges lately. And seeing Notre Dame restored, it feels like this collective, I don't know, exhale, like a reaffirmation that we're all in this together.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. And now with the new online booking system, Notre Dame is even more accessible. People from all over the world can experience this incredible cathedral.
Amazing. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the resurrection of Notre Dame, what's the one thing you hope our listeners take away from all this?
Well, maybe this is something to think about. What does the rebuilding of Notre Dame teach us about, our own capacity for resilience, for renewal? It reminds us that even when things seem impossible, we have the strength, the creativity, the, compassion to rebuild, to heal, to create a better future.
Beautiful. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder that question. Thanks for joining us on this journey to the heart of Paris and the heart of the human spirit.